guys, my name's Cathy and I am an international undergraduate sophomore at Korea University here in lovely Seoul, South Korea. And on this fine, wonderful March 1st rainy morning, I would like to sit down and talk about a question that I get asked a whole lot in my messages, and that is, what is it like to make friends at KU? Before I start, I'll just get the disclaimer out of the way. Two disclaimers. One, it's pouring rain outside, so if you hear some rain sounds, think of it as a lovely ASMR. And two, about making friends. Now, I have been in Korea for a year. However, I have only been in Korea during Corona time. So my experience isn't exactly the most authentic, you would say, because I've only taken classes online and clubs have not been meeting, and my experience has just kind of been awkward as a whole. I'm gonna give you the best information that I can. Without further ado, let's go. When you come to Korea, here's basically how making friends works, and it might not be what you think it is. So if you expect to come to Korea and have a lot of Korean friends, you are probably wrong in thinking that. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you come to a Korean university, here's what happens. International students click up together. Chinese students click up together. And Korean students click up together. And there's not a whole lot of crossover. So when you come to Korea as an international student, I'm just gonna say most of your friends are probably gonna be other international students. Now, for you that could be fine, but if you want a whole lot of Korean friends, you're gonna have to take to alternate methods, and making Korean friends is gonna be much harder than making international friends. For me, I personally have a lot of Korean friends, but that's pretty rare. However, since I haven't really been able to go to class and clubs have not been meeting, I haven't really been able to interact with a whole lot of Korean people. However, I'm just gonna say it's gonna be hard to make Korean friends because not a lot of them are comfortable in speaking English. Like, a lot of KU students speak very good English, but still, it's that sort of comfort zone type of thing. And a lot of Koreans are still pretty closed off, and they're not always open-minded to having an international friend, which I have faced the wrath of, I guess, like personally firsthand. But like I said, I do have a lot of Korean friends, so I'll explain how to make more friends. For me, when I came to Korea first, I came here last February in 2020, and I made most of my international friends in the dorm. Now, some people don't interact with their roommates whatsoever, like it's literally just somebody you live with, but my roommates were like family to me, so I was super close with them, and I met other international friends like through mutual friends, so friends of my roommates as well, and we would go on picnics together and stuff like that. Interacting with girls in the kitchen because it's a communal kitchen and those types of things in the dorm. So since we couldn't go to class, all of us were kind of stuck doing our classes in the dorm anyways. So that's how I made a lot of my international friends. However, the way I made most of my Korean friends was not at KU, but through a language exchange app called Hellotalk. Now, what Hellotalk is, it's exactly that. It's a language exchange app. Basically, you get matched up with people who want to learn your native language. So for me, I wanted to learn Korean, and so I met people who wanted to learn English, and we kind of crossed over. However, beware, there are a lot of weirdos on that app, so just watch where you're going. I actually was lucky enough to meet my best friend in Korea through Hellotalk. Back in December of 2019, I posted on Hellotalk my acceptance letter. This girl, Dawn, who is now my closest friend, Dawn commented saying, hey, I'm same school, same major, like, let's be friends. And so, funny enough, like, she became my first, like, real Korean friend, and I became her first, not only international friend, but first friend at KU. We were each other's firsts, I guess, but even for Korean students, a lot of Korean students don't have international friends. So I think that was like destiny. And her family is super awesome to me because they understand like my family is on the other side of the world, so they've kind of taken me in, and her family is just so wonderful and they've been so awesome to me for the past year that I've been here. So I'm really grateful to y'all. Ha fam. I have made more of my Korean KU friends through her mutual friends. Even for her, it was hard to make friends because of Corona. And in the business school, we have these like classes, like class group chats, like A, B, C, D, E, and then there's Jo, which are like small groups that go in there too. And it's a little weird for international students. Like, I was not put in these class group chats immediately because of the system's just fucked up, and it's been like that for a long time for international students. So the school doesn't really help you make Korean friends either. But that's another story. But Dawn made her Korean friends through this class group chat, and then I became mutual friends with them. So I'm not super close with them. I've invited them over, I've hung out with them even like without Dawn there. So I would definitely consider them even my friends too. It's kind of awkward, I'm gonna tell you. If you have like a group of Korean friends, it's gonna be totally awkward because they're gonna be at a 술chip and they're gonna all be talking like blah, 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 and you're just gonna be off to the side staring at the wall, clueless as to what's going on, because they talk so fast and they talk about things that people and things you don't even know about. So it's gonna be totally awkward. But lucky for me, a lot of my Korean friends, they want to help me feel like I belong. So they talk slower to me, or they speak in English to me, or if they notice me just staring at the wall excessively, they try to ask me something, they try to get me involved. So my Korean friends are super wonderful about that. If you're lucky enough to have a cool group of Korean friends like that, then be prepared for a little awkwardness. I will say that. As I mentioned Hellotalk earlier, I met Dawn through Hellotalk, but I also met a lot of my other Korean friends through there. My Korean friends, they are my 언니s. So 언니 means big sister. They are older than me. Most of them are like 25 or under. I've met like some really close friends through Hellotalk as well. Like I said earlier, there are weirdos, but I think making friends through Hellotalk, like Korean friends through Hellotalk, will be the easiest, because those are people who want to interact with you, and also many of them have actually lived abroad. And I will say most of my Korean friends that aren't from KU are people that have lived abroad at some point in their life, because they understand what it's like to get out of your comfort zone and you are in an environment where you don't look like anybody and you don't talk like anybody. They understand that, and so they're way more open to being friends. Most Koreans, I would say, are way too shy to have an international friend. A lot of them do like the idea of having an international friend and are jealous of people that do, but they themselves, it's pretty hard for them. And like I said, people click up with each other, so I guess there's nothing you can really do about that, and you just have to find better people for you. Now I'm going to talk about some other solutions. So the first biggest solution to make Korean friends in general, not necessarily at just KU, is download Hellotalk and interact with Koreans who want to learn your language. Solution number 2 is CUISA. If you come here as an international student, there is a program called CUISA, which is Korea University International Student Assistant. And basically what it is, it's just a buddy program. So you have a big Korean buddy, well, they're not always Korean, but they are a KU student as your big buddy, and then your little buddies are also going to be international students. So you can meet a lot of people through that as well. And I don't really interact with my other buddies very much, but my buddies were in the business school and I have had classes with them. Like, I did know some of them before we actually became buddies, and then if you have classes in the future, that can be really helpful. Solution number 3 is Cuba. Now, Cuba is for international students, but if you come here as an exchange student, there is Cuba, which is Korea University Buddy Assistant, which is essentially the same thing, but for exchange students. So if you're going to be here short term, they also have a program for you. And I'm in the business school, so we also have a buddy program called Cubs Buddy, so KU Business School Buddy. For me, this semester actually, I am a big buddy. So they have the Hangukin and then they have the Wegukin. So Hangukin is Korean, Wegukin is foreigner. I'm the Hangukin buddy, so I'm the Korean buddy, and then I have two little buddies that are actually exchange students from other countries. So that's pretty cool. So I guess I'll do it in the future too. So if you come to Korea as an exchange student in the business school, I could be your buddy. Hey! So since we can't really go to class, those three options are probably going to be the best for you. And a lot of these things, we meet through Zoom, but also if you have like small group buddies, they also meet by themselves too. And other Korean friends that I've made, oh, some class projects too. It's kind of a hit or miss if you find somebody good in a class project. Like one of my closest friends I met through a class project, but she lived abroad in China. Oh, it's Minji. Yeah, that was Minji. Y'all know Minji. I met Minji through a class project, and she lived abroad in China for 9 years. She speaks very fluent English, and so she was much more open to being my friend and to hanging out with me. Like every other person I've done a group project with, just they don't really care. I don't know if even they interact amongst them, like the Koreans, if they interact amongst themselves, but still, like, I knew one other international friend in a group project, and then I met Minji through a group project, but like I said, that's just a hit or miss. Yeah, I think that's it. If you're gonna come to Korea and you're worried about making friends, I'd say don't be, because there are a lot of ways to make friends, both international and Korean. As long as, I guess, you're open-minded and you're able to come out of your comfort zone a little bit, I think you'll have a pretty easy time making a lot of friends. And if you use the ways that I suggested, then I think you'll have no problem. Yep, that's it. Good luck!